Is there a reason for the tears? Because what he's just saying is true.
No.
Now, I know people want to cry before the court because they want the court to be lenient, but let me just tell you, tears don't sway the court.
My mom has battled cancer, which was really hard. And she beat it, but it's every day.
You're crying, and I know you're crying because you don't want to go to prison. And you're just like, I was just across the street.
Tears can be powerful in court, but not in Judge Boyd's courtroom. These are the top 5 emotional moments that didn't change the outcome.
I'm just hoping you'll believe in me one last time. I need you to treat me.
All right, who's the prosecutor? You, Kayla Rolak? According to the plea bargain agreement in this case, you pled to the lesser included offense of abandonment of a child with intent to return. Punishments to be assessed at 2 years in the state jail facility. There's a $1,500 fine. The state is opposed to your application, and they're taking several cases into consideration.
Although it's been presented that the defendant seems to be taking some steps in
All right, you all need to whisper in the box.
taking responsibility for this matter. Based on the allegations, Your Honor, it shows a gross negligence and the lack of proper judgment. In fact, that the defendant did admit to leaving her child purposefully at the home without checking to see if there was anybody there to supervise the child, Your Honor. This resulted in the victim child being able to escape the residence on her own, being outside in cold temperatures with nothing but a diaper on. Based on the allegations, Your Honor, the state would oppose the defendant's application.
All right, is there a reason for the tears? Because what he's just saying is true.
No.
Now, I know people want to cry before the court because they want the court to be lenient, but let me just tell you, tears don't sway the court. I'm just here to listen to facts to see if you've done anything that would justify the court placing you on probation, okay? All right, so that's why you're asking for her to go to prison?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And have you state, have you had a chance to review her certificates?
I did, Your Honor.
All right, defense.
Yes, sir. And Your Honor, we're asking that the court consider supervision for her. This offense, first of all, the child just wandered away from, in contrast to what counsel says that the child escaped. So it wasn't a matter of escaping. She was just wandered off as children off too. My client had stated, she told the police that she thought that the adults were inside the home and that the child was being taken care of. And it was just a mistake on her part. And I would like for Ms. Rolak to address the court on this issue of abandoning the child.
All right, can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
Kayla Rolak.
All right, defense.
And why do you, first of all, was this an honest mistake on your part in leaving the child?
Yes, I would never want to leave my child on purpose. I take care of her every day. I'm the only person that she's been with every day of her life. I love her and I didn't mean to put her in any harm's way.
All right, somebody want to explain to me the crux of this entire situation is some kind of way, a 2-year-old in a diaper ended up wandering the streets in a diaper only in November, and it was cold. So, I mean, that's what we need to get to the point of, because in the PSI report, she's blaming the people who CPS has put in charge of helping her supervise the child. That's who she's blaming for her child being out and about, because in the PSI report, it states that guilt was minimized. And in the PSI report, she's stating she thought these other people who CPS put in charge of her child as the person to chaperone or supervise, she's blaming them, saying that they were supposed to be there. So somebody explained to me how a 2-year-old gets out of a apartment or residence that's supposedly locked or should have been locked.
So she was naked, not wearing any clothes, because that's how we sleep. She still goes and runs around naked. We just got out of diapers, so she usually just wears a underwear. But that's why she was naked, not having any clothes. And I do not blame anyone else. This is my fault. I should have been the one to check if anyone was there. I was just saying that I had thought, because when I laid down my daughter, my mom and my uncle were still there, so that's the reason why I didn't check, but this is my fault. I am taking full
Okay,
responsibility.
I hope everybody understands. I'm always curious. I have questions. It sounds odd to me, unless people are living in a mansion and you have the west wing and the east wing and people leave and people don't know it. So I'm just finding it, or I just have questions. How a child gets left, and I don't even understand how children get left in the car by themselves, but in a home, how does a child get left in a home by themselves if a parent is leaving and other people are there and other people see you leave? Nobody thinks, oh, we can't leave because there's a 2-year-old here. How does that work?
So when I laid down my daughter, my mom, my mom and I both went into our rooms. That's why I thought that she was there. So I didn't hear no door open or close, and I hadn't come out of. So I didn't see anybody. I figured my mom was still home because I didn't see anybody out there.
So you don't see anybody and you just leave your daughter in a house and you haven't seen anyone.
Just because I thought that my mom was in her room still.
Defense, you may continue.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Any questions?
Just briefly, Ms. Rolak, how far away is your mother's room from your room?
It was like, down low.
Did you knock at all to check if she was still there?
I don't think so.
Did you walk around the apartment to confirm that there was any adults present before you left the apartment?
I just walked through the living room.
Nothing further else.
All right. Any other witness defense?
No, Your Honor.
All right, I want a UA today, then I'll make my decision. All right. So Ms. Abrams, if I could have a UA on Ms. Rolak, please. So Ms. Rolak, I wanted to tell you, and this is why I always keep an open mind on everything. Just reading your history and looking at everything, someone would suggest that you should go to prison. But you know, I always tell people whether you think a judge is going to do something or not. And I would always tell my clients, hey, you know what? We have to give the judge something to suggest you're not going to prison. So don't come in and throw yourself on the mercy of the court and you have done nothing. You understand? So I see that you've done a lot. I see that you completed everything with Child Protective Services. And sometimes Child Protective Services, they're always overworked and underpaid, but you actually had a good caseworker to stay on top of you and make sure that you were doing everything that you were supposed to be doing. And I see that during this time, you got your GED, you're enrolled in college. That's great. And to all the children who are out there who always think that the best college to go to is someplace that's not at home. Sometimes, you know, the best college is a college that's actually in your city. People always want to go to some other college because they think it's the best college. And I always say the best college is wherever you are if you make it that best college. So I see that you've done that. You have supervision because you're not living by yourself. I'm going to want you to continue to not live by yourself. Now, once you've been on probation for a while, your attorney can always come back and ask the court to reconsider that part. So who are the persons you're living with?
I live with my mom.
Okay.
And my daughter.
And what's your mom's name?
Brenda Marshall.
I'm sorry?
Brenda Marshall.
Brenda Marshall. And I'm assuming your mom wants you to remain with her.
Yeah.
All right, so this is what the court is going to do. The court is going to grant your application. And I'm actually going to give you deferred adjudication. So 4 years deferred adjudication. There's to be a $1,500 fine. That will be probated. Taking consideration, County Court Cause number 688-620-691-438, Night Mag number 675530. Proof of employment within 30 days. And in this court, if you're on probation here, I don't allow you to be a home health care provider. So there's to be no employment as a home health care provider with minors. 250 hours community service restitution. Those hours will be waived if you provide proof of enrollment in college, which you have. You need to provide that proof to probation today. And for the court to give you credit for that, you need to take at least 9 hours a semester. And I don't allow people to do that thing where they say, oh, here's my 9 hours for semester, and then they drop classes. That's expensive.
Can I say something?
Yes.
I actually am going for a pre-major in psychology, and then I want to go to UTSA. So after these, I'm gonna do like, I think around 17 hours a semester because I'm.
Thank you. See, when I tell people that every semester I would do like 24 hours a semester, people don't believe it, but it can be done.
Yeah.
All right, so provide proof of enrollment in college with at least 9 hours. Probation, I'm going to ask for parenting classes. She's already completed those, so you'll need to provide documentation to that. She is to reside with Brenda Marshall. And so it's only you two in the household, right? All right. There to be no adult males in the household residing there.
Okay.
If something changes, you can let me know. I just found from my experience as a defense attorney on CPS side, what ends up happening is mothers are doing great. And I've had male clients over there too. They're doing great. Then the next thing you know, they end up getting a new partner. They don't vet that partner appropriate, and everything that goes downhill. So that's why I'm putting no adult males. So she's not allowed to reside with any adult males. Probation, I'm going to want field visits once per month. Regular reporting, and the field visit can count as her reporting, and that field visit is until further notice. And we'll do regular UAs. Probation, is there anything else she needs?
No, Your Honor.
Is there anything else you need from the court to be successful?
If, I know you said I could take my certificate that I already did parenting class.
Yes.
Can I still take another one? Because this last one that I took with the San Antonio Fatherhood Campaign,
Mhm.
I actually learned a lot. And if I could just keep learning, because my daughter is getting older.
Okay.
And also, is there any way that I can get, that y'all can help me with like therapy or like getting into counseling?
All right. So what I'll do is probation, we'll add parenting classes. And make sure you notate in there the parenting classes were at Ms. Roleg's request. And also, do we need a mental health caseload or mental health evaluation probation?
We'll do a mental health evaluation for referral.
All right, we'll do a mental health evaluation for
I-
referral.
I did do that, and she said that I didn't have any like things, but I have a lot of anxiety and I just deal with a lot of stress and stuff. So that's why I asked for like the therapy or counseling.
All right, they'll take care of it. They're going to make it happen. If it doesn't happen, let me know.
Okay.
I'm here. All right, I'm showing you what's entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendants' Rights to Appeal. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it and did you sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. All right? All right, good luck to you. Good job.
Thank you so much.
Oh.
Thank you so, so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Your Honor,
Yes.
did you did you specify?
Wait, am I still on house arrest?
Oh. With regards to the monitor probation,
Yes, Your Honor.
let's keep her on the monitor for 2 months. If there are no issues, then it can be removed.
GPS partial.
Yes,
Like, can I take my daughter to the park and stuff?
yes, it's probation. Just make it tracking,
All right.
Thank
but
you
you'll
so
still
much.
need to let probation know where you're going to be, okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. And this is, the top copy is for the state. All right, thank you.
Have a
Uh,
great
just-
week.
Oh, thank you. Just remain in the, she needs to remain in the courtroom so probation can go over conditions with her. Agreement, Mr. Guerrero,
Yes,
are you waiving your right to appeal?
yes.
So does anybody want to tell me what the aggravated robbery is about?
I can summarize it, Your Honor.
Yes.
My client, or a lady went to her truck or a Kia, I keep saying a truck, but it's a Kia. To go somewhere, and in the driveway, when she got to the driveway, there was 2 individuals in her car, not my client. There was an individual she noticed across the street, which was my client. When she approached the car, the co-defendant Lamas was in the driver's side, and he had broken the column, and he had rummaged through and had some stuff collected. There was a man, Ray Barfield, I believe, in the passenger seat, who evidently had a gun in his lap. And when she approached the car, I believe her statement is that he pointed at her. I was more concentrated on her, but that's where the aggravated part comes in. Those 2 ran from the car. My client is walking near a Dairy Queen a little bit later with the guy that was in the driver's seat. And when the police contact them, all the stolen items from the car are just like on the floor, like on the sidewalk behind the feet. The person with the gun is away. They are able to ultimately identify the person with the gun with the aid and assistance of my client and the other co-defendant, and do not defend the case too. All the lay witnesses accounts would be that my client was across the street in a lookout capacity, and that this was I guess the incident of the homeowner walking out and walking into her car being burglarized, and that the kid in the driver in the passenger seat then pulled into the weapon and exposed the fire.
Well, you were given a chance for education. I mean, you're where you are now because of your actions and nobody else's. I've had plenty of clients before where they just been the lookout, and guess what? It turns into capital murder charge. In Texas, if you're just a lookout for somebody and they kill somebody, guess what? It's just like you killed them as well. Doesn't matter if you have the gun or not. If you're with somebody and you all decide to go rob a gas station, and if they go into that gas station, they kill somebody, it's just like you were in the gas station killing somebody as well. It's sort of like they're your agent and you're responsible for their actions. So you had a chance on probation. And what time did this happen?
I don't know. It was night.
It was
I
nighttime?
don't know that. It was early enough to where the homeowner was going to go run an errand or something, but I don't know.
So had the street lights come on? Because I gave him a curfew. And obviously you didn't follow the curfew, because guess what? If you would have been where you were supposed to be, this wouldn't have happened. Now you're going to prison. And how old are you?
23.
You're 23. You're crying. And I know you're crying. You're crying, and I know you're crying because you don't want to go to prison. And you're just like, I was just across the street. But as I said, in Texas, if you're with a group of people and you all are burglarizing vehicles and somebody pulls a gun, it's just like you pulled the gun, whether or not you pulled the gun, because y'all are working together. You understand? Nobody wants to go to prison. You had a chance not to go to prison and turn your life around. I gave you deferred adjudication, tried to help you by tightening up your schedule a little bit, by putting you on a curfew, and you still find these people to hang out with who mean you no good and mean society no good. I don't understand why young people are breaking into vehicles. Now you got to ask yourself, is stealing a car worth 7 years of your life? Breaking into somebody's house and getting caught, was that really worth 7 years of your life? All of these crimes that people are committing, they need to be asking themselves, how much of my life would I be willing to give away to commit this crime for just some foolishness, for a vehicle that's going to end up being destroyed because the column is broken, instead of just doing what's right? I tell people all the time, life, yeah, it can be hard because things happen to good people sometimes. But 9 times out of 10 in your situation, if you would have just followed the rules, guess what? You would not be in the situation that you're in now. And then you come to this court, I give you deferred adjudication to get your life together. You wouldn't be in this situation where you are now. That aggravated robbery case, the range of punishment on that is 5 to 99 years of life in prison. You understand?
Yeah.
So I know 7 years is hard. And let me just tell you, prison life is hard, because when you go to prison, much like the Bexar County Jail, sometimes people just won't leave you alone and let you do your time in peace. Always got to watch over your back. But you could have been in the free world. So now what's going to end up happening? I'm going to follow the agreement and I'm going to sentence you to 7 years. But let me just tell you something. Do not become institutionalized, because people who go to prison, you know what they say? I will never be in this situation again. I'm gonna be the child that my mom wants me to be. I'm gonna get out. I'm gonna act right. And then you know what ends up happening? They get out, time when they smell free air, and get to their house. There's a celebration. You're home. Everything's going fine. I would say about 80% of the people, they stay on the right track for about 20 days. Then their old friends start coming around, and then they're right back before another judge with another offense. If you continue the way that you're continuing, you're going to find yourself living at the prison, and you're going to be the oldest person in the prison. In Texas, they have repeater status. And if you come back, you'll be coming back as a repeater. And that bumps up whatever felony you have, it bumps it up punishment range. And then if you go back to prison and come back, you're going to be a habitual. And for some felonies, your minimum is going to be 25 years to start with. And you're going to look up and you're going to be at the prison and you're going to realize you're like 50, 60 at the prison. You understand? Yes. All right. This is what the court will do. There's an affirmative finding of a deadly weapon. The court will grant the motion, find you guilty. Court will sentence you to 6 years in the prison, give you credit for any time served. There's to be no contact with Adan, A-D-A-N, or Tamara Alvarado, Patricia Santos, Stefan, S-T-E-P-H-O-N, Brown. And who's the complainant in the other case?
Judge,
Okay. Oh, you know what? I may have it in the indictment.
She is listed on.
it's the victim's name is Samantha Rios.
All right, and Samantha Rios. And I'm gonna order restitution to Samantha Rios. Is there any objection from either side?
No, Your Honor.
All right, there's restitution, if any, to Samantha Rios. And cause number 2023 CR 10419A.
Would that be joint several with this, co-defendants?
We can say jointly and severally liable for the co-defendants.
It's gonna be, Damian,
Just 1 second, let me write jointly and several. Okay, who?
Damien, Damien, Lamas,
Okay,
Ray Barfield,
is that BARE?
just BARFI.
All right, jointly and several liable with Damian Yamas, Ray Barfield, and there's to be no contact with Damian Yamas and Ray Barfield. Although you may end up having contact with them at the prison, it will just be a matter of where they place you. Is there anything else with regards to sentencing?
Nothing from the state.
No, guys.
You're welcome. Going to show you what's entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendants' Rights to Appeal. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it and did you sign it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, we can go off the record. You better change your life. Otherwise, it's not going to end well for you. Either you're going to end up in prison or either you're going to try to break into somebody else's vehicle and they're going to end up shooting you. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Do you understand by pleading true to violation of condition number 5, the court could find it true, grant the motion, find you guilty and sentence you up to 2 years in the state jail facility and up to a $10,000 fine?
Stand up, but I'm in hopes that you'll hear me out.
No, my question is, did you understand that? Knowing that, do you still wish to plead true to violation of condition number 5? I'm sorry,
Yes, ma'am.
court will find violation of condition number 5 true. Is there proposed agreement?
No, there's not, Your Honor.
State, what are you requesting?
Revocation, Your Honor.
Defense.
Look, I requested that she be placed back on probation, and my client would like to testify to give her reasons to the court.
All right, if you can raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
My name is Amanda Boston.
All right, and what would you like to say?
Miss Boyd, because you gave me a second chance 2 years ago, I went to Grace House and I changed my life. I've been sober for 2 years. I was released from Grace House because I had a surgery and I had to go home and take care of my family. I've been doing nothing but going to work and going home. I was scared. I understand that being on the run for 2 years is bad, but I was scared that I was about to lose everything that I just worked really hard for. Because of you, I changed my life, and I'm just hoping that you'll believe in me one more time.
All right, this is your second motion to revoke. And what I do know is that each time when persons appear before me, I ask them if there's anything that the court can do. Do they need anything so they can be successful? And I know that I tell people, if there's an issue, let your probation officer know. If you feel as though they're not addressing it, you can always come back to court. So you've been here before. You were placed on probation in 2019. And then you came back in 2021 and you pled true to a violation of condition number 1, which is a new offense. And then the court altered and amended your conditions and continued you. And then now we're here and nobody has seen you since 2022.
I'm scared. I was at home. I was taking care of my family.
Why don't you pick up the phone and call probation?
I was scared. I can't have no excuse for that, Miss Boyd.
Okay.
I was scared to lose everything I've just worked so hard for. My grandma is 75 and my grandpa is 95, and I have my kids back in my life.
I have a relationship with them now. I've been sober since Grace House. I haven't worked so hard for something. It would just destroy me to lose it again and start over.
All right, so these are choices you made.
Yes, I understand that.
You made the
fully.
choice not to report.
I understand that. I'm just hoping you'll believe in me one last time.
All right. Any questions?
She said all.
Any questions?
No, Your Honor.
All right, the court is going to grant the motion. The court is finding you guilty. Does anyone want to speak with regards to punishment? State?
Yes, Your Honor, the state's requesting 16 months, state jail.
Yeah, we're requesting a minimum. It has 166 days in. We also have some credit for the time she served and.
All right. So what I can tell you, Ms. Lawson, the state is requesting 16 months. I had internalized everything you said. And actually, what the court was going to do was sentence you to 2 years in the state jail facility. But the state is requesting 16 months. So I'm going to sentence you to 16 months in the state jail facility. Give you credit for any time served. Did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it? All right, you have a limited right to appeal. That right to appeal is as it relates to the allegations in the motion, not the fact that you were on deferred adjudication. Do you understand? Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we can go off the record. Here's the thing, you were given chances. And in this court, I don't know how other courts do it, but in this court, it is better to ask for permission than forgiveness. All you had to do was pick up the phone and call your probation officer and say, this is what's going on in my life. And if they did not address it, you know what you could have done? You could have come back to this court, come back to me, and I would have figured out what was going on. But for you to behave as though you were not on probation, that's a problem. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good luck to you. Who's here on Denise Thomas? And are you Ms. Smith?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, have you received all the discovery in this case and did you review it with your client?
Yes, Your Honor.
Court will find that the state is in compliance with discovery. Ms. Smith, I'm showing you what's entitled True Bill of Indictment. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, do you waive the reading of the indictment?
We do, Your Honor.
State, are you proceeding on the indictment as presented?
No, Your Honor, we're proceeding on the count 2 charge of manslaughter and waiving counts 1, 3, and 4.
No objection.
All right, Ms. Smith, I'm going to show you what's entitled Court Admonishments and Defendants Waivers and Affidavit of Admonitions. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it and did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand you're charged with the offense of manslaughter? That's a second-degree felony. The range of punishment is anywhere from 2 to 20 years in prison and up to a $10,000 fine. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
If you have a plea bargain agreement with the state, the court does not have to follow your plea bargain agreement. If for any reason the court does not follow your plea and gives you more than you bargained for, the fact that you entered a plea will not be used against you and you will be allowed to withdraw your plea. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call and the right to remain silent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand by entering this plea bargain agreement, you were giving up those rights?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you intend to give up those rights and enter into a plea in this case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Counsel, has your client been able to provide you with any defenses?
She has, Your Honor.
Do you believe she has a rational as well as a factual understanding of the charges against her?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you believe she's currently competent and was legally sane at the time of the offense?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Smith, has anyone threatened you, coerced you, or placed you in fear to get you to enter this plea?
No, ma'am.
Has anyone promised you anything other than the plea?
No, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with the way you've been represented?
Yes.
Are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived her right to jury trial. Showing you the plea bargain page, did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
According to the plea, the state is proceeding on count 2. They're waiving counts 1, 3, and 4. Punishments be assessed at 6 years in the prison and there are no applications. Did you understand that to be the plea?
Yes, ma'am.
Defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
State?
Yes, Your Honor.
Showing you the paragraph entitled waiver of appeal paragraph. Did you review that paragraph with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in both places?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand by signing that you're waiving your right to appeal? The only items that can be appealed are written pretrial motions that have been filed, heard, and ruled upon by the court. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, are there any such motions?
No, Your Honor.
Then to the offenses charged in count 2, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
State any evidence?
Yes, Your Honor. The state offers exhibit 1, the defendant's waivers and stipulation evidence.
No objection, Your Honor.
Ms. Smith, I'm showing you what's entitled waiver and consent to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
Again, did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call in the right to remain silent?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand that today the state will be presenting evidence in the form of witnesses' statements and police reports, but most importantly, there will be no live testimony? Did you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived and consented to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Court will accept into evidence states exhibits 1 and attachments, and the court will review the same. All right, after reviewing states exhibits 1 and attachments, the court will find there's sufficient evidence to find you guilty, and the court will find you guilty.
Judge, may I clarify one of my responses in response to your question about motions?
Yes.
I said that I hadn't filed anything. I'm not sure if Ms. Corley did, so I don't want to represent to the court, because I think she may have filed some evidentiary motions. I did file some non-evidentiary motions, but I wanted to make sure that if Ms. Corley did, I didn't represent that there were none filed.
All right, and I can tell you from my review of the court's docket sheet that there was no motions that were heard.
Okay.
And there were some motions that were filed, but none that were heard.
I just didn't want to make any misrepresentation.
All right. So the court is finding you guilty of count 2. Are you proceeding with sentencing?
Yes, Your Honor.
Anything you wish to say on behalf of your client?
On behalf of my client, Judge, this is a case that was a tribal type case based upon the evidence that you reviewed. My client has made the decision to come in and accept responsibility for her portion in this accident that happened. She's extremely remorseful. She wants to get this behind her, and she wanted to say her apologies to the family that the area where this happened, the location was very dark, and she just didn't see that there was an accident in front of her. She has Graves' disease, and she's been pretty ill at the jail. So she's hoping that this time will pass, and hopefully that she can get her life back together. She was a home health care provider, and she did help a lot of people while she was out in the field.
All right, anything from the state?
And we have victim impact.
All right. Anything you wish to say, Ms. Smith?
I'm sorry, please. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for what they lost.
All right, anything else from either side?
No, Your Honor.
All right, I'm going to follow your agreement. I'm going to sentence you to 6 years in the prison and give you credit for any time served. I'm going to show you what's entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendants' Rights to Appeal. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it, and did you sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waived your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, we can go off the record. So, Ms. Smith, there's going to be a victim impact statement. What I can tell you is I know that sometimes emotions and tempers run high. Because in this court, we'll deal, as your counsel will tell you, and the state will tell you, we're dealing with serious cases, major felonies. But I do require that everyone treats everybody with respect and kindness. So there are some persons who want to say something to you. Just listen, internalize it, okay? According to the plea bargain agreement, punishment is to be assessed at a cap of 10 silent, and the state is remaining silent on your application. Of course, they reserve the right to speak to factual issues. Have both parties had a chance to review the PSI report, state?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objections to the PSI report, state?
No.
Defense?
No objection.
And the court has read the documents that were submitted by the defense without objection. And those were letters from family members and people who know Mr. Trevino. And also the court has reviewed the documentations from Texas A&M University. And counsel, would you like the letters back or no?
Yes.
Yes.
And Your Honor, in the PSI report, it indicates that the victim's mother had not called back. The victim's mother did send a victim impact statement earlier this week. I wanted to make sure the court was in possession of that addition.
And the court does have that by email. Any objection to the court reviewing that, defense?
No, Your Honor.
All right, just
Thank
give me one moment. Court has reviewed that. Any other objections to the PSI report, state? Defense, any objections to the PSI report?
No objections to the PSI report.
All right, any witnesses by either party?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, defense, you may call your witness.
Thank you. I'd first like to call Pastor George Ramirez.
All right,
Trevino, send me here to be.
Pastor George Ramirez. All right, can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
George M. Ramirez Jr.
All right, defense.
Thank you. Can you please introduce yourself to the court and explain to the judge where you work?
Yes. So my name is George M. Ramirez Jr. I am a community pastor for a ministry called Immersion Outfitters on 1604 Braun Road. And I serve as the leader for that ministry, overseeing men and women's Bible studies and teachings. And that's how I met Alejandro.
Okay, and please explain to the court how you met Alejandro.
Sure. So one of the ladies who comes to our women's study was a former coworker of his and had reached out and asked for prayer for Alejandro. And I made contact with him. And for the last year, I've been meeting with him weekly, once a week, to counsel.
And sir, can you please explain to the judge what it is that you and Alejandro have been doing together for the past year?
Absolutely. So again, in our meetings, my counseling is biblical counseling with him. Looking at the choice that he made and looking at how to use the tools that God has given him to be able to address those things, being very open in our conversation. Again, using the Bible as our guidance to counsel him.
And so you are aware of the charges of why he's before the court today?
I am, yes.
In the times that you've worked with him, has he ever denied what he did that day?
No.
Those days?
From the very beginning, he's been very honest about his word choice. And it has made it even a point in every one of our meetings to not only pray for his situation, but for the victim as well and her family.
And so in working with him, has he expressed remorse for his actions at that time?
Very, very remorseful, repentant heart as well for that choice. Yes.
And together, have you guys been working towards ways to prevent anything like this from ever happening again?
We have. We've looked at also, the tools that has and in looking at, accountability, not only just on our one-on-one meetings, but even through some of the technology as well.
And are you, would you describe yourself as a person who's holding him accountable?
I would, yes.
Okay. And how so?
Well, number one, and it's something that I wanted to make note of is I was a victim of this exact thing, which was very difficult to overcome. And again, knowing that God has healed me and he can do that, and even to give me a heart to be able to reach out to someone who has caused pain to another person and help them with stuff.
And have you seen in the past year positive changes with Alejandro?
Very positive. He's opened up. He has shared a lot about what he has gone through. And again, regardless of the outcome of today, that he would continue on this path.
And do you feel that he would be an excellent candidate for supervision and working in the community?
I do. I think Alejandro would best suit the community to be part of it and be productive. But I do understand it.
And if the judge does grant that, will you continue working with Alejandro to hold him accountable for his actions?
Absolutely. Number one, Alejandro is accountable himself, but as a support to him, I definitely would be there to have him, and our men's group would love to have him weekly. Yeah.
And when you met with him, did you meet with him just online through counseling or also in the home?
No, we met personally. Majority of our meetings were in the home, although we did use Zoom and did do phone calls while I traveled to Africa as well. We have a ministry there. So when I was there, we did still continue to meet on Zoom.
And so you've met his parents,
I
correct?
have, yes.
And does he help in the care of his parents?
He's a very vital role in the care of his father and his mother in the home. And so, again, I think it would be best with supervision and that he would be able to be productive and help the family out.
Okay, thank you. I'll pass the witness.
State.
Just briefly, what is the demographics of your church?
Yes.
All right, excuse me, everyone, make sure you whisper.
No. So again, we are primarily a men's ministry. We have about 200 members. But we also have a women's group that my wife leads. She's a pastor as well. And then we have a larger group in Africa, which is about 400 members in Liberia, West Africa.
Are there children that attend your church?
They are. We have youth groups, and myself and my wife, we do teach youth Bible studies as well.
Is there a teen program? Like a young teen church program?
Well, we designate it as youth, so that would be anywhere from 5th grade through high school. Kind of group. Yeah.
And are there services where the groups are intermingled, like a congregation?
Co-ed yes, so we do have co-ed. Again, we have leadership that helps and assists with co-ed Bible studies, and that's primarily what we do. We don't have them segregated, they are together.
Okay. No further questions.
All right, anything else?
Nothing further.
All right, you may call your next witness.
I call Alejandro Trevino.
All right, can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you may lower your hand. State your name for the record.
Alejandro Hernandez Trevino.
All right, defense.
Thank you. Alejandro, who are your parents?
Ruben and Patricia Trevino.
And are they here today in court with you?
Yes, ma'am.
And have they come to all of the court settings with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Please give the judge a little bit of information about your parents.
Yes, they're, wonderful. My dad, has been a hard worker his whole life. Has had major bodily injury due to his work. He's had back surgery, 2 knee surgeries. He's in to get a new back surgery, hopefully a knee replacement. My mom has battled cancer, which was really hard. And she beat it, but it's every day, you just think, and they're the best things in this world, and it hurts, that I hurt them, but they're I'm hopefully will continue to help them regardless of the time frame, but
So let me ask you this, sir. Do you currently live with them?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you help care for them?
Yes, ma'am.
Has your father had physical falls where you've actually had to help pick him up and take him to a safe place?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And you've graduated high school. What other degrees have you received?
I have an associate's in engineering from Blinn College and a bachelor's degree in engineering from A&M University.
Up until your arrest, were you working?
Yes, ma'am.
And then you lost that job when you were arrested, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You've been on bond conditions this entire time?
Yes.
Do you remember when you went on the monitor, what the date was?
I think around May 16th,
Okay.
I believe.
And was that full house arrest or partial house arrest?
Full house arrest.
And to your knowledge, have there been any violations reported to the court while you've been on bond?
No, ma'am.
Now, before we came up here today, did you review with me the PSI and TAP report?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you agree with everything that was written in there?
Yes, ma'am.
If the judge is to give you and grant your application for deferred adjudication, are you willing to follow any and all conditions of the supervision?
Any and everything.
You understand that with the offense, no matter if the judge grants your application or if you're sent to prison, you will be having to comply with Chapter 62 for the rest of your life.
Yes, ma'am.
correct? Have you done your own research to understand what that's going to entail?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, specifically, after we reviewed the TAP evaluation and the PSI report, did I hand you the second document, the email from the victim's mother?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you review that letter?
Yes.
Were you aware of the mental health issues with the victim prior to your relationship with her?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Did reading that open your eyes?
Yes.
Okay, how so?
You don't think what your actions mean until you see it. And that hurts more than all of this. Being responsible for those feelings and that hurts because I don't want to be responsible for someone being in pain. That hurts more than anything, and I am deeply sorry. And I just hope that God helps everyone, and
Now, when you say you don't want to be responsible, you understand you are responsible.
yes, ma'am.
You're not denying anything.
No, ma'am.
And if the judge grants you your supervision, or even if the judge does send you to prison, will you continue spending the rest of your life making up and feeling sorry for what you did?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll pass the witness.
Your Honor, I have no questions for that.
All right. And you were aware that the complainant was underage, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Is there any other questions?
There's no other questions and there's no other witnesses, just argument.
All right, the court will hear argument, and I appreciate your honesty.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Your Honor. My client, the reason we submitted the documents to you is I've gone through all of the evidence with my client. So he is well aware of what was submitted in the plea agreement and the stipulations, as well as anything that was and everything that was conducted during the investigation. He has, Brittany. Oh, sorry. He has no questions or no disputes about anything that was presented. Even with me in our conversations, he was always very honest about his actions. Yes, he did know how old she was. However, to him, in his mind, even though she was younger, this was a relationship and he believed that. And then I believe it's even in either the prosecution guide or the later statement, is the two of them had discussed everything, recognized that it was wrong, and then that's when everything ended. He was later arrested. He was always honest about everything. He is simply asking for the court's mercy in allowing him to go on to deferred adjudication. No matter what happens, he is always going to regret his decisions at that time. However, by granting his application, he'll be able to stay home. He'll be able to continue caring for his family. He'll be able to continue making amends there and receiving the treatment while he is on the supervision. And so that is what he is asking for. And he understands that that is asking a lot. He understands and recognizes the pain that he's put on everybody else, not just the victim, but also the victim's mother and her family. And he only hopes to be able to show you that he will be able to complete the supervision in a timely and orderly fashion and never come back in front of this court ever again.
Right. Any closing?
Your Honor, we're silent, Your Honor, so I'll maintain my silence.
So, Mr. Trevino, I do appreciate the fact that you've done a lot of things to change yourself and work on yourself. The issue with this case and what sticks out in my mind, this is not an issue where you did not know she was underage. If this were an issue where you knew that or thought that she was of age, maybe I would be doing something differently. So I'm going to find you guilty. I'm going to require Chapter 62 registration. There's to be no contact with the complainant. I'm going to give you credit for any time served. I'm going to sentence you to 5 years in the prison. I'm going to show you what's entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendants' Rights to Appeal. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes.
All right, because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. And because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Okay? All right, we can go off the record. I've had plenty of people to appear before me charged with an offense like this. And I will tell you, you are the first person who has truly acknowledged what they did was wrong and are actually working on bettering themselves. Good luck to you.